Wow, it's like Christmas came early. We were sitting here on the show yesterday and we're like, who are they working out at, top 30 visits, not working out, but meeting with that warrants the 16th overall pick. We had like 1.5 guys, right? Like Will Johnson and maybe sort of kind of Shamar Stewart, although nobody loves that idea. And then boom, 3 players today. I would call them the elite 3 in terms of all SEC, all play the position of need. Most of them check every box. Jalon Walker, by most accounts, is a top 10 overall player in this draft. Mykel Williams, most people think, is between 15 to 25. And then, this podcast has a love affair with James Pearce Jr. I know there are people who are skeptical about his off the field kind of vibe, but, Mike Garafolo kind of threw some water on that. So again, if you're looking for the heavy hitters, here they are. And speaking of heavy hitters, the Cardinals right now, what are we at on here? I'm bad. Let's see that one more time, Damon. Counting these in real time. These are the publicly known 10 top 30 draft visits. Of the 10, 7 play edge rusher. 7 edge rushers right now. So I think, again, for everybody, we want to romanticize Will Johnson, maybe a tackle. People talking about screwing around, taking a guard or an off-ball linebacker. Get out of here with that. The Cardinals are going to use a top pick on a pass rusher. They're literally vetting everyone, and good, they should.
It's just like wide receiver last year. It really is. I mean, you saw it. They had the 4th overall pick. The entire offseason, it was trending towards them getting their pick of the cream of the crop as far as the best non-quarterback. And they talked to Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, Rome Dunze. They even talked to Jalen McMillan, Xavier Worthy. Just going down the list here. I mean, they talked to a ton of wide receivers, and they leaned into the strength of that class, and they're going to do it again. Defensive front 7 players. The edge rushing position, man. I mean, and the biggest name to me is James Pearce Jr. because of all the noise surrounding him, the non on the field stuff. The guy only played about 50% of his snaps at Tennessee, and sure, it was a stout defensive front, but what's surrounding him as far as perceived character issues, the Cardinals are clearly doing their due diligence and homework on the SEC ass kicker.
It is the perfect prospect for the Arizona Cardinals to take, both from a realistic standpoint, production standpoint, the way he fits from a physical standpoint. I mean, he's long. It's just, is he somebody you want in your locker room? Is he going to be a pain in the you-know-what for people? Like, that's what they're vetting right now. If they check that box, though, I mean, he is a top target for this team. That nobody questions his athletic ability. Nobody questions the competition. I mean, like, he is. There's a reason why. I think you and I have kind of been in lockstep that, realistically speaking, this is our top target in this draft. But we had no idea up until this point if the Cardinals felt strongly about that, right?
Yeah.
6'5", 250. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Brian Burns coming out, who, by the way, went in the middle of the first round to the Carolina Panthers. To me, it's like using a top 30 visit on a kid like this means like you're very serious about potentially making this your pick. Like people who were dismissing James Pearce Jr. before today, it was like, no, man, like this mirrors need, position value coming together. Now he could go ahead of Arizona, and that would be heartbreaking, but it's like Marv last year. It made too much sense not to happen. And if Marv didn't or doesn't ascend to what we think he can be, I will give Austin Ford a pass for that. If they take James Pearce Jr. and he's a little bit of a kind of a jerk off the field, but he's productive, like, I will give them a pass for that. I will always say, take a big swing at a great player, even at 16, and you feel like, oh, there could be. I don't want you to take a lesser player because you're worried about can he fit in your locker room? Take the best player.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily locker room fit. It comes down to the James Pearce Jr. love ball, right? And that's the one thing that's the kind of the common theme across the locker room, is you've got so many different walks of life coming in and wearing the Arizona Cardinals uniform now under Jonathan Gannon and his new culture that he's built. And a credit to him and in creating the infrastructure that you could take a guy and you wouldn't think twice about, is he going to put himself in a position to take himself off the football field for whatever reason, because he gets into it with his position coach, or he's at odds with his teammates. Like James Pearce Jr. immediately would bring you the most pass rush upside on the defense. Like that's his forte. I mean, the guy had over 22% pressure rate last year for Tennessee. And I know that it's in limited snaps, and you can kind of figure out why that was. But way back when, like when we started, draft season, I went to our graphics guru, Noah, and he asked me, he's like, who would you pick out of the entire class to do like a jersey swap? And we did a James Pearce Jr. one way back when that we never used because of all the stuff that came out like surrounding him. So, but I agree with you. I mean, if you were to say just based on just how he performed at the collegiate level and what he could bring to this defense, it's exactly what they need.
You think about last year and the clip of Dallas Turner popping off at the combine, and then you had Austin Ford kind of do the little shimmy dance in the press box, the suite for the Cardinals and their scouts. And then we heard last year the Cardinals tried to trade up, presumably for Dallas Turner, and they couldn't get a deal done. We had heard that while we were on air last year. We thought it was coming. What Dallas Turner run last year? 4.4 something?
Yeah.
What James Pearce Jr. run a 40 time this year? 4.47. I know it's not apples and oranges, but it's like sometimes you just have a type, right?
He also jumps 40 inches too. I mean, his vert was insane. The explosiveness is off the charts.
I love Cam Scattaboo, and I can also put off to the side that like the Cardinals love RAS scores. No, I'm making a point here.
Yeah. Can you believe Captain Jack Sawyer and James Pearce Jr. play the same position just based off of like
that's so rude.
I mean, it's insane.
That's so rude. The Cardinals love athletic freaks. Fran Duffy comes on our show every Wednesday and says, who are the biggest freak show guys, violent, physical, that have the metrics? This is him. I mean, what do you have? 7.5 sacks this year, 9.5 last year. The production's not an issue. It's like to me, I think now we can come to grips with the fact, like for the next 3 weeks, realistically speaking, then I want to talk about the two Georgia guys. This is our guy. And we are going to squeeze this orange as much as we can. The next time we have Garofalo on, like, who is it trending on being? I feel like right now, if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan, that he has got to be. We did our Big Five yesterday. We put him in there, and people are like, I don't know about James Pearce Jr. You don't? I think I know about him. I think he could be the pick now at 16.
You sure about that? Were you sure about that? Yeah. I mean, the guy.
What about an off-ball linebacker, Johnny?
Right. And I mean, it's when you're going, your buddy's going out on a third date with the girl, right? I mean, it's like things getting a little serious here. This isn't speed dating. This isn't. You're not texting back and forth.
Yeah.
This is a top 30 visit. They met up at the combine. You could say things are getting a little serious. I guess
you could say things are pretty serious.
Right.
I mean, we talked real quick. We talked about it yesterday. Could you imagine a defensive line? Sweat, Tomlinson, Campbell, Robinson, James Pearce Jr. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself.
Right.
Going to training camp. I mean, who are these players? Who is this team?
I see Canyon Man up there saying, I meant no disrespect to, of course, our guy Damon Dog, who's he can do everything, right? It's just we have a graphics guru. He would even give Noah his flowers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I can't do a jersey swap like Noah.
Right. So I just no disrespect, Johnny style, but I'm not going to roast Damon Dog.
Respectfully, Damon's graphics stink compared to Noah's.
That's not what I was going to do there. So, but can we put up the top 30 real quick? And I know we're going to get more into exactly, man, what a turn here we've gotten in the last 48 hours. But now, like at 16, you can say that there's some legitimate candidates, like just the pass rushers alone. Shamar Stewart, Mykel Williams, James Pearce, Jalon Walker, and then bring in the defensive back, Will Johnson. And I think like you can talk yourself into most of them outside. I think Stewart's probably a guy that's on the fringe there.
Like if James Pearce Jr. and Stewart are there at this same point, like that's an easy decision. Stewart, I mean, it's not just as like tackle for losses. It's just like total tackles. Like, where is he? Where is he on the field? You know where James Pearce Jr. is? Mykel Williams, to me, if he checks out medically, is a very sound pick. There were people today, like every time it's like my algorithm on Twitter is feeding me Carolina draft secrets. And somebody today came out and said, like, the Panthers love Mykel Williams at 9. The Panthers just love everybody. The Panthers just putting it out there. You know what they're doing? They're trying to play damage control after their tell-all with Adams. And they're actually like, we like Mykel Williams and Landon Jackson and all these players. But in all seriousness, I think this is the group that you want to go to war for. Will Johnson, Mykel Williams, Jalon Walker, James Pearce Jr. Like, those are the guys we should feel good about. And then, Josh Simmons, we like him. I think we're all in agreement. Like, he's not probably off this injury. He's probably not worth the top 20 pick. That doesn't mean I think he's going to be a bad player, right? Same thing with, I don't think Kelvin Banks Jr. is a comparable prospect to the guys we're talking about. I don't know how anybody didn't look at that top 30 list with Cam Scatterbo, who is in his own special category. Like 7 of the next 9 players play the same position.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals were poverty among poverty at edge rusher the last 2 years. And I love Josh Sweat, but I love Mike Garafolo making a point of like, Sweat, you have Sweat, so then you can be a bridge to whomever you draft. Like, you can have both, right?
Right.
Same, like, a bunch of people in the know nationally are saying that, right? People who are not in the know are basically saying like, well, you can roll with Baron Browning. No, we're not doing that. Baron Browning and Zaven Collins playing meaningful snaps at edge rusher will get you beat. That's been made an assumption, fact. They're basically both on 1-year deals with very little money guaranteed. They are backups, and they're great backups. You do not have a starting opposite edge rusher to Josh Sweat, which, by the way, we said in free agency. We opened up free agency, said this team does not have 2 starting edge rushers on the roster, even with Baron Browning. And guess who knows that? Monty Ossenford.
Right. Well, it's just like building a bullpen in baseball, right?
Yeah.
You want to have a diverse set of arms, right? You don't want guys that just come in and throw 98, right? Because you're going to be able to time it, and you're going to think by the end of the season, you're going to have a bad bullpen. But if you've got a pretty diverse set of skill sets out there, you've got, your righty lefty combos, you got your junk throwers, you got your guys that come in and throw gas. Like, you want that. Like, Zaven Collins is a guy that if you're to break down his game, he probably thrives more as far as against the run and in coverage, and then also struggles as far as getting to the passer. So then you're going to want to have guys whose skill set are geared up as far as pinning their ears back and getting after opposing quarterbacks. Like, of course, you want a complete pass rusher. And I think, Josh Sweat probably is like the most sound across the board and the guy that's going to be a starter. But then you've got guys their skill sets vary and they have different strengths. And if you bring in somebody in the draft that can come in and almost definitively be your best pass rusher, I think that just adds to his pen or stable of his pass rush rotation, which is great.
They have so many good options. This top 10 to 12 is going to be so intriguing because there is so much uncertainty. We're just going to be holding on for dear life with some of these guys. I think Jalon Walker probably goes before the Cardinals, but everybody else we've talked about feel pretty good about the Cardinals' odds to get one of them. And again, like, you just paid Trey McBride as a 2nd-round pick to be the highest paid tight end in the NFL. I don't want to be screwing around. These other franchises that are about to take Ashton Genty and Tyler Warren and the tight end from Michigan and an off-ball linebacker, let those franchises make those decisions. Right. Where I think those guys are good football players, but then you're taking Tyler Warren and saying you have to be Trey McBride, which is a losing proposition, right? Which is what the Cardinals have done historically. Lose in the first round, bust after bust. Take a kid in James Pearce Jr. or Mykel Williams, who it's like, hey, you know what a good year for you is? 8 to 10 sacks. You know what's going to get you paid? Doing that every year, even if you're not in the top 20% of your position. That's called a premium position, friends.
Yeah. It would benefit. The good thing about James Pearce Jr., JPJ getting back into it broadens the field, right? Because like between him and Mike Green, like there's too many talented guys that you had to take out of the field potentially. that, the league doing all their homework together is all identifying like, hey, there's some deal breakers here. There's too many red flags, to where the Cardinals are saying, James Pearce Jr., we've got something that we feel like we can work with here. And now we'll find out, what their thoughts are on Mike Green, I think, between now and draft day. But like the other thing here with Jalon Walker is, if Jalon Walker is there at 16 and you hear all these great things about Jalon Walker and his versatility, I'm one of those guys. I'm like, hey, he can play the outside linebacker spot almost perfectly for Nick Rallis in Jonathan Gannon and his defense. It's not something that I think they should discount, is that there's a league here that is saying no, like they don't believe his skill set will translate. But yeah, like Jalon Walker, Johnny, like I think like it's not something like you can believe in Monty Ossenfort and think that he can see something that other GMs don't. But I would be concerned if Jalon Walker is making his way and dropping down the draft board considerably come April 24th.
You know who can tell Monty Ossenfort if Jalon Walker can rush the passer? Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis. So if they want to take him, I have no issue with that. Here's what I think that this pick signifies, this top 30 visit. What did Jonathan Gannon tell us at the combine in the interview with us?
You're my best friend. Guys. Oh, did he not say that to you?
He said he brought in guys. They would bring in guys into their room, be like, why are you talking to me? You don't have a top 10 pick. Not yet.
Yeah.
What if Jalon Walker falls to New Orleans or Chicago wants to trade down? I think Jalon Walker, if they hit it off, is a trade-up candidate in this scenario. I think if they think Jalon Walker can be Micah Parsons' freak show, edge rusher extraordinaire, this is a player that you trade up for. That's the only, because I'm with you. Because if he starts falling, then it's like, oh no, is this guy an off-ball linebacker, Isaiah Simmons kind of player, and we don't want any part of that, okay? And I don't want to subscribe to groupthink. I think most people feel like Jalon Walker now, we've had enough time, I've gotten over it, can be an effective edge rusher. And again, like, look what Gannon did with Hassan Reddick out of Temple. I think if we look at that, let's pull up the draft order right now, because I love doing it. I'm going to do it every show, Damon Dog. If we're sitting here, Jets, Panthers pass on him, Saints are poverty. They have no picks. Bears are, and you never know. What if the Cardinals wanted to get in front of San Francisco for Jalon Walker and just snipe Jalon Walker away from the 49ers? I think that's why you bring him in. Do your due diligence. If you hit it off, you love him. He and Rallis are vibing at the whiteboard, and it's like, we have to get him if he falls. If all these other teams in the top 10 are idiotic, they're taking running backs and tight ends and immobile quarterbacks, we're going to go up and get him. Would have no issue with that. No issue at all.
Somebody takes Shamar Stewart. Like, yes, thank you. We'll take the playmaking defensive player out of Georgia. Yeah, look, I mean, I know crazier things have happened, but I also think like you have to really trust your scouting here and not like the previous regime saying, well, we this guy's versatility that's the biggest thing we love about him. Whereas like that's not the best thing that you need to be looking for as far as players, especially in the first round. Like this jack of all trades, master of none thing. It's not great in the NFL.
I will say we put out our starting depth chart yesterday, and I do feel like Jalon Walker fits in that Baron Browning role that we have right there pretty well, right?
Yeah,
like you only have one off-ball linebacker on the field in Mack Wilson in this scenario. You can rush with the 4 other D linemen out there, Josh Sweat and the 3 guys on the line, and then Jalon Walker can kind of be that hybrid role. I think it fits perfectly.
But doesn't like the 3 guys that Mike Garafolo added to the top 30 visits, like they all give me I'm encouraged if any of those guys playing in that Browning role.
For sure. I think that he fits it the best though, because I think Browning would have to work off ball a little bit in this scenario.
That's a good point, Damon. I'm 1,000%. Like Sweat is the anchor on the opposite side that kind of does everything above average. You want your most athletic pass rusher playing where Baron Browning is. And that is reserved for whomever they take at 16. That like Zaven Collins is going to back up Josh Sweat, and then James Pearce Jr. is going to be backed up, or Mykel Williams or Jalon Walker is going to be backed up by Baron Browning. And it will feed families. That defensive line is unrecognizable. They have actual depth. They have real players.
Yeah.
And this team that is projected to win over under 8.5 games you're just going to be smashing that over with our friends at Bet365.
It's the massive facelift, like insane.
It needed to be done though. It was so bad. We would come on the show. I would come on the show from June through September last year, and I'm like, you can't keep getting away with this. They can't keep trotting this unit out, and now it's like 90% of those guys are gone, and they have just taken a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
They have not made a meaningful transaction that was not defensive line associated this offseason.